Yeah, there you go. That's my piecemeal intro for today because I've been with my 93-year-old mother. I have been bagging, rolling, and tubing posters. And so last night we actually had friends over for dinner last night. I know it's shocking that we actually have friends. So I didn't. By when 12:30 rolled around last night, I was through prepping for the show. I'm like, God, do I want to put together a whole new intro for the show? And I thought, no, I'm not. I would rather go to bed, and that is exactly what I did. So, welcome everybody. It is once again time for your favorite Sunday show, Aaron Live. Now, you may be asking yourself, why am I going at 3:30 in the afternoon, Pacific time, of course, 6:30 on the East Coast, instead of my usual 4 o'clock? Well, if you remember, if you go way back with me, I mean, way back to the beginning of this show, it started at 5 on Sundays. And then let's just say other people started to say, hey, Sunday might be a fertile ground for streaming. And so they would start coming in and streaming over the top of me. And I thought, well, that's not great. So I'll move my start time to 4 o'clock. So I did that, and that kind of solved the problem for a while. And now it's happening again. So I moved to 3:30. I thought, let's just do it at 3:30. So I'll have maybe just 30 minutes where I have a captive audience before someone else starts streaming over the top of me. So that's kind of what I did here. So we're going to see if this 3:30 time slot sticks, if it works, and we'll just go from there. So anyway, it is me. It's Aaron. Shelly right now is asleep, so I'm going to assume she won't be joining us. I do have this Shelly knows right here, but we'll just save it until Shelly's back streaming with us again as my full-time partner. Anyway, that does not affect the content of the show, which is going to be spectacular. So thank you for joining me. Let's see who's here. Past Master Dan, he said, please hit the like and give it the thumbs up. Thank you, Past Master Dan. I appreciate that. Creative Faye, she says, hi, Aaron. I look forward to seeing more about Wraith of God 3 and eventually backing it. Well, thank you very much, Creative Faye. Angry Gamer, of course, echoing that, says Wraith of God 3 is the book that I'm waiting for. Well, you're going to get a sneak preview of some stuff today. So stay cool, stay focused. Keep your attention right here. You won't miss a thing. Mark Pengrin, Wraith of God 3. There you go. Leg Kick is here because Leg Kick is almost always here. Barbara Paulson joining us. Hail, Aaron, and maybe Shelly. Right now it's just me. But thank you for the shout out to Shelly. She greatly appreciates your guys' support as she struggles with, some health issues to get back on the show regularly. Creative Faye, I believe we already did Struzan's art before, Aaron, on this show. Did we? Well, we're going to do some more. That's the hard thing. Now, Creative Faye went and did a list of all the topics we've done on Graybeard Studio, which was 85 episodes. And I was like, wow, thank you so much for that. That's very helpful because none of us are paying attention. As we doubled up on Stranko last week, which wasn't really the goal. I think Gary threw that in there as a choice to, but thinking, well, we've already done Stranko. They're not going to vote for that again. And sure enough, that's exactly what everybody voted for. So we ended up doing Stranko again. My hat's a little crooked. So we have to be a little bit more clever. We're looking at doing some different things on Graybeards to kind of shake things up a little bit. Every once in a while doing a breakdown of another artist's work and things like that. Maybe watching some videos of other artists and their approach and things like that. Just to kind of, break it up just a little bit, give it a little, a fresh look every once in a while. So keep your eyes open for that as we move forward. Daniel Russell says, that Shelley can make it. He's praying that Shelley can make it. It's not as fun when it's just Aaron. You know, I expect you guys to provide me with a little bit of support. There you go, Daniel. That's what I think of your comments. Toshiro is here. Randy Howell is back. Wraith 3, here we come. We're knocking on the door, folks. Duck Bacon, thanks for joining us. Stealth X5 is here. Repairman Jack. Robert Doan's Pills is joining us. Daniel Russell just begging for it. Late Lopez. I was a few minutes late because I went down to get some water, and I walked by that big stack of posters, and I said, "Oh, let me sign just a couple more." And so I did. So I'm late for you guys. Matthew Mumma is a Moom. You know, it's Mumma, isn't it? It's Matthew Mumma. I keep saying Mumma because I want to say mummy, but it's Mumma. Captain Bipto is here. He says, though it switched to Wild Wild West, I was ready to change the channel. Oh, okay. So the Wild Wild West guy punching the young lady that pulled you back in. Excellent. Let's see here. Yeah, Daniel Russell noticing that I was trimming my beard and slipped a little bit. So there's still some fuzz there, and there's still mustache fuzz here, but I had to pretty much, I didn't cut it all off, but I did trim it pretty aggressively because I left a big hole in it. So that was all right because it was getting long and it was bugging me. So now we're back on growing it back. We'll see what it looks like Wednesday on Graybeards. L.E. New Dungeoneer is here. Louis Bright Raven is joining us. Yeah, indeed, way back. It was a couple of years ago that I started. Like, dare I say it was even 4 years ago? It might have been. It's amazing. Sequential Artist says, thanks for being here for us, Aaron. God bless your Wraith of God 3. Thank you. See, that's what I'm looking for. That's the kind of love and support that I am always looking for on this channel. I'm going to have to wipe the tear away there. Thank you. Appreciate that very much. Who else we got here? Anti-Entity is joining us. Do you see how I enunciated that correctly? Anti-Entity. Timmy Mello joining us. Art of Roy. All art auction pieces have been shipped and most delivered. Thank you all again. Of course, he's referring to, was it 2 weeks ago now, I think, wasn't it, that we did the art auction on Ethan's channel and closed out Kit Carter. And let's see. Tippy Tail McKitty is here. Stealth X5 for $2 says hello. Hello, Stealth X5. Thank you again for the 2 and for the greetings, the salutations, if you will. Student OG is here. Let's just go through here. Okay, Richie Dupe. And I think that's everybody for now. So please hit the like and subscribe as I begged you to do at the very beginning of the show through that little video clip. My goal in life right now, it's a short-term goal, but is to catch Graham Nolan, okay? And I can't do it without you guys that haven't subscribing to the channel. We must catch Graham Nolan, if for no other reason that he thinks Star Trek, the motion picture, is the best Star Trek motion picture, which it clearly is not. So anyway, help me defeat the confused mind of Graham Nolan and help me catch him in subscribers. Yeah, that's it right there, baby. Star Trek 2, best of all the Star Trek movies. Yeah, I mean, people are stunned by this revelation that Graham would think that the Star Trek the motion picture is, of course, the best Star Trek picture. There's Spaceman's joining us. Thank you. You know, Art of Roy says, looking forward to getting that movie poster and going to make a frame for it. Thank you so much. I framed mine because I actually have I have one frame that holds insert movie posters. And I had Pennies from Heaven up in there. I've had Raiders, the re-release, original re-release inset that has the Amsel art on it, where he's got the whip back like this. And I left it in there too long, and it got a little bleached out. Not a ton, but enough to really tick me off. And so, and that's an expensive poster, so I was really ticked. I usually rotate my posters so that that doesn't happen. But it's such a good one, I left it in there too long. So anyway, then I bought The Great Train Robbery, and that was up for quite a while. Then I got one, Pennies from Heaven, which is a nice Bob Peak poster, Steve Martin movie. And that was been up for a while. And so I just slipped the old Kit Carter poster just in there, right in between Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome and Muppet Treasure Island. And there it sits right now, hanging in the wall of our family room. And I'm feeling pretty good about it. So yeah, it frames up nicely. It fits perfectly into those frames if you have one. So okay, this is pretty complex. Says, hey, Aaron, did you know that an EP of Deep Space Nine, an episode of Deep Space Nine, they remastered an original Star Trek, the original series, and inserted the DS9 crew into the story a la Forrest Gump. Are you referring to the Trouble with Tribbles one? Because I do remember that. I did watch that, and that was kind of fun. I think that's the one he's talking about. Spaceman says, I can't wait for his soft cover kit. I did send out an update, and the print date I'm giving now is the 9th of September, which is pretty good because they were telling me 2 months. And I was like, seriously, you can't do this to me. And so then the ship date is now September 18th, which means they'll be printed, bound, and be shipped out to me on the 18th of September, which means I should have them by like the 25th or sooner. Fingers crossed, right? And then you guys know me, I ship out if I get those books delivered like before 4 o'clock, I will package up some of those and ship them out that first day I get the books. I mean, we go immediately. There is no delay. We start shipping immediately because obviously I want you guys to have those books as soon as possible. My friend that I had over for dinner last night was unfamiliar with the campaign. He's not a comic book guy, so why would he be? But I showed him the PDFs, the proofs, and he was flipping through it and laughing as he read. So that's a good sign. A guy who's not even a comic book fan thought it was funny. So I'm feeling very, very optimistic right now that this will go over pretty well with you guys. Tippy Tail my kitty's saying, after inspecting the books first, right, Aaron? Well, yes, of course. I never accept a shipment unless I make sure that they're correct. So yes, that is, of course, what I will do. Now, I don't inspect every single book. What you do is you crack open a crate and you go through it and it looks good, fine. Now, the hardcovers I will be sort of inspecting because I have to sign and number every single one of them. The soft covers, I'm not going to inspect every book. That would be insane and ludicrous. And what has happened, I did have on the very first Wraith of God campaign, one of the books, just one, the pages were out of order. And of course, the person got the book and went, dude, and I went, so I sent him a new copy, obviously. And then I started checking the books and of course, never found another one. So yeah, I mean, I do inspect them to a certain degree to make sure that I have my mom check the corners, make sure nothing's bent or creased, because if they are, then they go in the markdown pile. I'm not going to send you guys damaged books. So, we do inspect them to that regard. Jay Dredd says, nice shirt, Aaron. You better believe it, baby. Garbage man all the way. All righty. Captain Biptos says, oh, wait a minute. This old dirty fatty says, say hello to Shelly for me. I definitely will do that, old dirty fatty. Appreciate it very much. Okay. Let's get this show rolling. We got things to do, things to talk about, things to look at. It's a very visually oriented show. And the first thing we're going to do is take a look at our Frazetta for the week. Now, I know Creative Faye is going to be all over me for this because we showed this piece before on the show, but I don't think we showed it in its entirety. And so I thought it was important that we go back and revisit this. Plus, I love this painting. But it's actually had 3 sort of incarnations in terms of how it was published and used. So take a look at the video and then you'll see what I mean. Okay, so yeah, we've done Fire and Ice before because I think some of you might remember that I actually had never seen Fire and Ice, and I finally got it and watched it, and found it somewhat underwhelming, but at the same time entertaining enough to watch. But I think it was interesting that it was a really nice painting, which was the first image we saw. Then we saw the movie poster. Of course, it was a Ralph Bakshi film. And then some of you may not know that there was actually a portfolio, an art portfolio. And what it had was the envelope, of course, had the color image. And on the inside was a folder. I've got it. I'd have to go look. But I think there's a folder in there that has the Fire and Ice painting, but in black and white. And then inside there was 6 pencil drawings by Frazetta, of course, all related to the movie. They might have been production illustrations, but it's really cool. And so I looked back and I saw, wait a minute, we already done this. But then I thought, well, we didn't really expand on it, on what and it's how it was used. Art of Roy is a little bit harsher than I am. It says Fire and Ice sucked, but it was worth buying and keeping on Blu-ray. It wasn't great, but it was interesting. And like I said, it was interesting enough to watch. Dale is starting to get Aaron's approval that from an Asian parent. That's pretty good. I like that. So anyway, that's our Frazetta for the day. Boy, wouldn't you love to own a Frazetta painting? I know I would, but not really in my price range. So let's see. A lot of people said they liked it, and I think that's fine. It was just, there was some story elements that apparently got cut out of it. That like Dark Wolf was supposed to be the son of the bad guy or something like that. That didn't, there was some motivations that weren't really clear. But the fact that it was basically an animated Frazetta film made it interesting and worthwhile. There was some gratuitous scenes with the girl, the scantily clad girl, that sort of fit right into the Frazetta mystique. So there was elements in it that I thought were sort of interesting and entertaining and funny. So again, I'm not going to necessarily give it a thumbs up, but if you're a fantasy fan, if you're a Frazetta fan, if you're a Bakshi fan, I guess that those are all good enough reasons to watch it. But yeah, I wasn't either, but I've come to sort of accept that from Bakshi and just kind of figure that's part of it. Matthew Muma said he'd love to see the Frazetta Museum someday. So would I. One of the Frazetta kids, or grandkids, excuse me, Frankie Jr., is it? No, is it one of the kids? Anyway, he wanted to come on the show. I've never had him on the show. I probably should do that. The problem with the Frazetta is there seems to be a split in, there's Sarah Frazetta doing her thing, but then there's the other Frazettas that like manage, there's like 2 museums. There's one in Florida and one in Pennsylvania, and one, I'm not really sure what the family dynamic is. So I would be kind of like nervous to have somebody on and maybe say something that may not be, how should we say, copacetic with one side of the family. I mean, I don't know what the family dynamic is at the moment. So I've been a little reluctant to get in the middle of it and say something stupid. One of them is making horror masks, says some person. How about that? Pete Smetty had Sarah on. I should get Sarah on. She seems very friendly. I know that Billy Tucci's friends with her. Of course, Billy Tucci is incredibly is friends with everybody. So he says, after Frazetta, after we get to 100 Frazetta images, we did 100 with Wrights and we'll do 100 with Frazetta. And he's saying, switch to Wally Wood. I can see that. I could go way off the rails and do like John Severin, who I absolutely love, but a lot of people aren't even familiar with his work. I don't know. Maybe I should do a Who's This Guy on John Severin. Yeah, I might do that because I love John Severin. All righty. Let's see here. What do we got here? Let's go ahead and let's do our, we got a pretty healthy audience right now. Let's go ahead and do the little preview that I promised for Wraith of God 3. You'll find this, I hope, interesting, but we'll use this intro for it because it sort of fits into this mold. Yep. Oh, this artwork never actually made it in my flat file because it's so fresh. You can smell the ink on it. Okay, let me switch cameras here real quick. What we're going to do is take a look at some artwork associated with, that will be associated with or part of the Wraith of God 3 Fear Hollow campaign. All right, look. I draw faces everywhere. All right, let's get these glasses out of the way. They're not really helping. Okay, so the plan is on Wraith of God, we're gonna have four cover options. Okay, one of them is going to be an EC tribute cover, not of any particular cover of EC, but just an EC looking cover. Okay, now that's the layout that I did for it, and we'll see how it's evolved. Here's kind of the pencil rough, and that's what it's sort of evolved into. Okay, so you'll have Wraith of God up here. You know, it's going to have Fear right down here on the side. You have your 3 insets, which will be the Wraith, Esther, and our villain, one of our villains, mysterious villain called the Master. And our main image, of course, will be the Headless Horseman's hand holding up his head, and then the Wraith back here. Now, the original sketch had Esther in there, but it's just too small of an area here, and I wanted the Wraith to be bigger, so Esther gets the boot, but we'll see her later. So this is one of them. Okay, so you can see I do quite a bit of detail work on these roughs. And then what I'll do is I see you've got Wraith's foot right here on the trim line or the bleed line. So the cover gets trimmed right here. So it's going to cut off his foot. So he needs to be slid up. So you do these drawings like this, and then you're like, okay, how can I rearrange it? What can I do to make it stronger, better, whatever, in terms of composition? So again, looking at this, I had the head over here, but then in retrospect, I felt it worked better on this side of the page, and then work the Wraith in here. So this is what we're going with. So that's one of them. Okay, so if you're an EC fan, you might dig that. Okay, let's see here. All right, so I got 3 here. So I was messing around trying to, I wanted to do a, you know, an Esther-centric cover, right? So we've got her down here, maybe the Wraith, you know, dead Wraith here or whatever, you know, and the Horseman coming up, right, to finish the job. And I was like, that's okay. And I thought, well, what about this? So then we had, like, you know, Esther standing here and the Wraith here, and here comes the Headless Horseman. I was like, it's not quite what I want either. So then I came up with this, and this one I kind of like. So what we've got here, this is going to be sort of the tribute to the, I've done every campaign. I've done one of the Marvel box covers from 1972, and that's exactly what this one will be. So you can have Esther in the foreground with her gun on her knees here, kind of looking at the action in the background. Then we're going to have the Headless Horseman and the Wraith tussling it up here in the background. Sources will say Wraith of God here, Empire Comics across the top. There's a band here, you know, your price tag, your issue number, little Wraith head there in a circle, and then Fear Hollow down at the bottom. And this will look like one of those 1972 covers from that Marvel did for about a year there. And I haven't got this one large yet. Then we got our main cover. I guess you'll call this the main cover. So the idea was to have this broken pumpkin in the foreground, the Headless Horseman in the background, and then, like, the trees, the hollow, if you will, that's surrounding him kind of goes up and becomes the Wraith. I didn't like him leaning this way as much, and I wasn't really happy with the pumpkin either. So I've been messing around with it, and this is where I'm at on this. I think this is, well, let me tell you, I did this first. This is all in blue, right? So I wanted to get the figure, put the Wraith like that. He was too big, though. And so this is what we've ended up with, and I think this is what I'm going with here. So we have the pumpkin, broken pumpkin smoldering in the foreground here. You can see the little smolder coming off here. Then we have the Headless Horseman here, and then the trees go up into the black. That'll all be silhouetted, and you got partial tree tops here, but then you've got the Wraith coming out of it up here. Logo will probably go right here. Flaming logo will go right there. Yeah, so there you go. That's this will probably be, like I said, the main cover. But I mean, you know, when I say the main cover, it's you're the one who decides which one's the main cover, because you can order whichever cover you want, or you can order all of them. Now, the fourth cover is a painted cover by a guest artist that I will not reveal until the campaign goes live. So you'll just have to wait to find out about that. But anyway, so there's your third cover. Art of Roy thinks the original, yeah, maybe you're right. The sketches always seem to have a little bit more energy than the pencil drawings. I'll certainly, no, I don't know. They're pretty close. I, of course, changed the direction that he was facing, and maybe that's, but anyway, so now we've got there's going to be some original art available on this campaign as well. This is the card art from the last campaign from Kit Carter. This is Mr. Midnight art from the trading card that will be available. And it's, you know, there's not a ton there, right? I mean, it's mostly silhouette, so it's not going to be like super expensive. So that'll be, you know, one of the pieces that'll be up for sale. This promo piece of the Wraith will be up on there. The original art for the sticker was part of the Kit Carter campaign. This is the actual original art that went for the big comic box sticker. That will be in the campaign for sale, as well as probably two of the three covers I just showed you will be up for sale. And who knows, maybe something else. Look, it's me. The other question people had a lot was about, what are we going to do about Kit Carter artwork? And I will be selling some of it, but I'm going to list it on my website page and not as part of a campaign, because it seems kind of odd to me to sell Kit Carter pages on a Wraith of God campaign. It just seems weird to me. But I did split up the pages with Matt Ryan, the inker, and so I'll be getting those back soon. And I'm already in the process of setting up an original art for sale page on my website that will list all my artwork. But specifically, if you're interested in Kit Carter, that's where the pages that I put up for sale will go up. Drew Struzan cover, I wish, probably a little bit out of my price range. Although who did it, did the cover for me, was not cheap. Steve Giblin says, Aaron, do you know Dustin Weaver? I do not. He works at Image right now. He just did a cover very similar to your style. I suggested he reach out to you for collab. He's an amazing. I suggested he reach out to you. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how people at Image feel about me these days. I know. I know when I first launched Wraith of God, they weren't too thrilled with me, so I don't know. Geek Avenger wants to know, why is Aaron's face bald like a baby's butt? There's a little bit of fuzz there. I had a mishap shaving or trimming my beard. That's why. If you were here on time, Geek, you would know that. Okay. Speaking of my website, I've done this before, but gosh darn it, I'm going to do it again because I can, I guess. I'm kind of proud of it. Now, I paid money for this website, so I hope I'm, should be proud of it. Okay, so I want to go over there real quick and show you how it shakes out. Now, obviously, Kit Carter is, this is the homepage for my website, and it sort of scrolls like this, which is kind of fun. And you've got look at that, you got Kit Carter up here, and then down here you got, in the background, you got Wraith of God Blood Hunters. Isn't that fun? This, obviously, the campaign's closed. But once fulfillment is completed on Kit Carter, what remaining inventory I have will come up for sale on my website. And that will go into the store right here. I'm also going to reissue these T-shirts, I think. The Keon Werewolf T-shirts. They're very popular in the Wraith of God 3 campaign. So you'll see, though, if you didn't get one and you want to get one, or if you got one and wore it to death and you need a new one, they'll be up for sale again. But I'm eventually getting shot glasses, leftover T-shirts, and Empire Comics hats and beanies. My remaining inventory will go up on my website as well. But so if you go to the store, you hit the Shop Now button and it takes you to the store. What we've done is divided this up. You can look at everything at once, or you can say, well, let's divide it up. So we got the prints page, and here's the prints that I have listed right now. Are the 2 Kit Carter prints, the Garbage Man print, which is, these are just signed. The Kit Carters are just signed. The Garbage Man and the Wraith of God print are signed and numbered. The Coral Princess here, Mermaid print, that's signed and numbered. Freya of the Ice Kingdom, signed and numbered print. Rosie the Riveteer is just signed, and this Kit Carter one is just signed. So these are the 8 prints that I've put up on the website so far. I'm not putting up anything like, my Spider-Man print or my Captain America print or my Wonder Woman prints, because, well, they're not mine. And they're not my characters, and I don't want to incur the wrath any more than I probably already have of DC or Marvel or anybody like that. So I do have prints of those things, but they'll only show up at conventions, or if you're savvy enough to email me about them, then I would be able to, sell you one through the mail, but they're not going to be listed here. The other thing we have right now is books. And so as you can see, we have the second printing of Wraith of God, Garbage Man trade paperback, the Tales of Suspense version of Blood Hunters, the wraparound cover of Blood Hunters, the Tomb of Dracula variant of Blood Hunters. We have the Studiosaurus pinup portfolio, which is still available. I have a few of those left from way back in the 90s. Terry Dodson, Gary Martin, Matt Haley, Ron Randall, and of course, me. It's just kind of a cheesecake pinup portfolio. What can I say? We always felt that would sell, so that's what we did. Fantastical Creatures Field Guide. This is the book, the actual book that I did for Watson Guptill years ago. I still have a few copies, like 5 copies of that. They come signed. That's still available. Wraith of God, the Bisley cover, still have copies of those. The black and white variant, still have some of those. Power Cubed trade paperback, Saved from the Trash sketchbook. Of course, the big Overstreet comic book price guide, which is for people that can't see very well, like myself. So, but it is humongous. And that'll come signed, of course. I think I have just a couple copies of the 3 Witches from last year price guide. So obviously it's not going to help you too much grading or valuing your comics, but as a collector's item, perhaps you might be interested in it. So anyway, that's what I've got up on the website. Store-wise, we click that, go right back home. There's an Empire Comics page. Excuse me. It basically gives you what the rundown is on Empire Comics, what's current. Now, of course, this is no longer live, but then you've got, right up on Blood Hunters, available in our store, right up on the first Wraith of God, which is available in our store, and of course, Garbage Man trade paperbacks, which are available in our store. So those are all current Empire Comics label type stuff. The next one will be, of course, Wraith of God Fear Hollow, which will take the spot of Kit Carter, and Kit will slide down here. And so then we continue to expand that. So there's information there if you're interested in finding out more about Empire Comics. Then, of course, the portfolio page, which gives you covers that I've done, illustrations, paintings, and sketches. Now, this is not a for sale page. This is just a portfolio to show you work that I've done. These covers are all covers that I colored. And then, of course, the black and whites are ones that I did pencils and inks for, but did not color. And it goes down all the way down to here. So just some of my better, not all my stuff, obviously, but some of the better pieces. Illustrations. There's Captain Jack. But I keep updating this as I get more art that fits into this category. Same with the paintings. As you'll see, that's the Dark Wolf painting I did, speaking of Fire and Ice, not too long ago. And that's now up here in the portfolio, along with most of the paintings I did for my Fantastical Creatures book, and a couple of ones from a book that I never did called A Monster Ate My Sandwich, a children's book that I just did not finish, but do have some paintings for. And of course, finally, a sketch section, some of my best. You'll see some of this stuff is from Graybeard Studio, some of its older commissions and convention sketch type stuff. And I keep updating this as I get motivated enough to do it. So anyway, this is active, it's alive, it's well. The store will continue to expand, and so will, I got my guy working on original art pages, a page for original art right now. So that'll be done, I would assume, pretty soon. And then I'll be listing titles as I get the stuff scanned and organized and as I can do it. The ones I lost Arini with. Daniel, you are just, I was robbed. Okay. I say way too much for a guy broadcasting. I should never say I should just go, and furthermore. So I got to work on that. Doggone it. Anyway, there you go. There's a little visit through my my website. So that's just www.aaronlopresti.com. Easy to find. You can go there anytime. I'll try. I used to be really bad at updating my website, but I've been really good about, once it got open, to start making sure there's stuff on there and new stuff for you guys to look at. Stealth X5 for $2 says, I just got something. Wow. Thank you so much, Stealth. I appreciate that very much. Let me also point out, folks, that if you haven't signed up early for Wraith of God Blood Hunters, Wraith of God Fear Hollow, which is Wraith of God 3, if you haven't signed up for it, you'll find a link in the description of this video that'll take you right there. Just type in your email address. That puts you on early sign up. You'll get, if and when you order, you will get a free limited edition trading card for signing up early. My gift to you. Some of the cards that were early signups before were Merv the Astro Chimp. And I just said again. Now I'm going to be counting it every time I do it. I just did it again. Okay. I did. Is that the same as Click from Power Cubed was one of them. And then there was a Wraith of God trading card that was a limited edition early sign-up card. So there's some really cool images and cards that you can get by signing up early. Of course, my overall goal is to have a tremendous, huge card set of Empire Comics characters. I don't know why, but if I could just find out a way to put Gum in there, I'd be really, really happy. But you know, you're not going to get Gum, but you are going to get some really cool cards. So anyway, there you go. Let's get this show moving along here. I do have quite a few other things here to go on, and let's do Drew Struzan. You know, the more I think about it, I'm wondering if what I did before was my top 5 Drew Struzan movie posters. Or did I do just Drew Struzan as a... well, we're doing them again. And one of the things I want to take a look at today a little bit more is maybe some of the stuff that you're unaware of. I got to bring up my little Drew Struzan bio. I like this bio that I got here this week because it's kind of short and sweet. I think that's kind of what we're really looking for. When he was early in his career, he had a little bit of a J.C. Leyendecker vibe to his work. A little bit, very much so. He was doing Leyendecker. Now, some of you may know or may not know that he did a few album covers. This one, Alice Cooper, Welcome to My Nightmare, is one I remember actually seeing as a kid and going, hey, that art's pretty cool. And all right, let's take a little look at his bio here. It says Drew was born in 1947, is an American artist known for more than 150 movie posters. That's quite a bit over a career, I would think. Which, of course, include the films Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, Star Wars film series. He also painted album covers, which we're looking at right now, and book covers. Now, this I didn't know, and I don't know why I didn't know this, but Drew Struzan was born in Oregon City, Oregon. That's like 30 minutes from me right now. In 1965, he was born in Oregon City. How about that? At age 18, he enrolled at the Art Center College of Design. Of course, we know that as Art Center in Pasadena, if it's even still there now. The first thing the counselor asked, this is a quote from Drew, the first thing the counselor asked me was, what do you want to major in? So I asked what the choices were. He was informed that he had 2 choices, fine art or illustration. The counselor wanted to describe the 2 careers, telling Struzan that as a fine artist, he could paint whatever he wanted, but as an illustrator, he could actually paint and make money. So it didn't take him long to choose a course of study. He said, I'll be an illustrator. I need to eat. I think that's pretty funny. A year later, in his first year, he married and became the father of son Christian. So how about that? He got married when he was 19. Wow. In art school. That's daring right there. He got 5 years. He got a Bachelor of Arts degree, and he also completed 2 years of graduate studies and eventually returned to the school later years to teach for a short time. Boy, can you imagine having him as an instructor? So basically, then it just goes on to talk about some of the other stuff that he worked on, which we're going to take a look at right now, but that's just kind of a short little bio. He also did a Black Sabbath album cover, which I'm not going to show here because it's a little, it makes me uncomfortable. Let's just put it that way. How many people know about this? Tony, Orlando, and Dawn. Can you believe that? Victor says, this is so dumb. Jim Beasley, Jay Anceletto, Art Adams, alive, but they don't appear on streams. Even Drew Struzan. Artists tend to be private and not necessarily comfortable on camera. And I, of course, was a thespian in my early years, and so this doesn't bother me. I have an acting award, from 9th grade. Okay. Do you remember this television show from the 70s, Tony, Orlando, and Dawn television variety show, when variety shows ruled? Yeah, I was surprised to find this. I was like, I had no idea that he did this. But again, it's sort of a Leyendecker style that he used. Send Struzan the link. I'm sure he'll just run right over. Now, do you guys know about these? Because these were cool. And you don't get a lot of forewarning that this stuff is coming out. I mean, if you're into stamps, I guess you would. But he did this series of stamps of Hollywood legends. And I think I went into my post office and saw the James Stewart ones sitting there. And I bought a sheet of the James Stewart ones. I don't think I ever saw any of these other three. Of course, Henry Fonda, Edward G. Robinson. That's David Williams' favorite impersonation. John Wayne, the Duke, of course. These are great. Fantastic. I wish we saw more stamps like this with this quality of illustration on them. I mean, we do sometimes. But I was like, wow. I think I got this one too. I'd have to go check my little stamp collection. It's very little, but whenever I see something artistically cool, I go and grab it. This is, of course, Lucille Ball, back when she was beautiful Lucille Ball, before she got kind of old and, craggy and cigarette smoking Lucille Ball. David Williams says, I drink my coffee in my Drew Struzan Lone Ranger mug, because he did the poster for the Lone Ranger movie too, didn't he? With Johnny Depp as Tonto. Man, that was a disaster. Geek Avengers thinking I'm being a little rude to the memory of Lucille Ball, but she was somebody that was beautiful when she was younger and didn't age particularly well. But I think a lot of Hollywood starlets in that period of time, they smoked so much, it did not do their face very many favors. But anyway, so that's a great piece there. Now, I've never seen this one. I did not know this existed, but there it is. It's 33 cents. That was 2000, I guess, there? I never saw this stamp. If I had seen it, I would have bought it. Look at Agnes Moorehead. Even when she was young, she looked old. Okay. I'm sorry. I love Agnes Moorehead, but to be honest with you, and Agnes Moorehead was the most attractive when she played the grandmother in Bewitched. Up to that point, she just wasn't happening. Now, she was better than what's-her-face that played the old witch in The Wizard of Oz, but, you know, Agnes was good actor. Good actor, though. It seems to me, Paul, that there was a dinosaur series at some point that didn't who did Dinotopia? James Gurney. I thought there was a series of stamps that Gurney did on dinosaurs. I may be mistaken, but I thought that was a thing. Okay, so let's take a look at some maybe not so familiar images. Also, that now I don't know what this was for. I saw it attached to like a birthday of Carrie Fisher, but I've never seen this. This is a beautiful piece. Carrie Fisher looks absolutely beautiful in this, and you've got this kind of young, handsome Harrison Ford back there. I don't know who the dude is. That like a different version of Luke Skywalker? Is that what that is? I don't know. Tanky Frey says Agnes Moorehead was in the dinosaur stamp series. There we go. Someone who knows stuff. That's from a Star Wars novel. Okay. Is this Luke Skywalker down here, though? Do we know that? That's Courtship of Princess Leia novel. Okay. Wait a minute. Where is it here? The Manly Mark Hamill. That's why we don't know who it is. Captain Bipto says none of those clothes are ever any. Yeah, I know they weren't, but I just think that's a beautiful, stunning picture of Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia. I really like that piece. I'd never seen it before, but I don't read the Star Wars novels either. Oh, does Han marry her in this? Oh, not that. That's Flashdance. Luke Skywalker, says Eric Boyd. Okay, that's a beautiful piece. I really like that piece. Now, I'm sure some of you guys have seen this. He did I don't know why he did this, but these were posters. And you can't knock anything Star Trek. And if Drew Struzan is doing it, it's next level type stuff. So, I don't know. Iodine's more clarification says it's from the book The Courtship of Princess Alicia. Okay. Speaking of Mark Hamill, did you see the amount of money that nozzle charges? Yes, I could not believe it. It's like $700 or something, and then more depending on, you know, if you wanted like a picture with him is $1,000 or something. I mean, it was crazy money. Crazy money. Did I say Star Trek? I didn't say Star Trek. I said Star Trek, and David is giving me crap by saying Star Trek. He's disrespecting Star Trek, which I'm sorry, but we can't have that on this show. Yeah, I mean, we can't have that, David. You're my friend and everything, but come on now. This is Brohawk's least favorite Struzan work. These are great. Kirk is really hard to do, get his likeness right, and Spock is actually rather easy. His features are way more pronounced, but these are great pieces. I never bought these posters though, which seems really bizarre. If they were prints like smaller, I probably would have got them. All right. You guys may or may not have seen this, but did you know what it was for? I actually have the poster for this. This was a Pepsi poster. I've got it. It's a smaller, like, I don't know, 11 by 17, maybe 18 by 24, maybe. I don't think it's 18 by 24. I don't think it's that big. But it's a Pepsi poster, and what a great piece of artwork. This, I really love this. I'm not a big Pepsi fan. In fact, I don't know that I've ever drank a Pepsi in my life, maybe once. But this is a great piece of artwork. I love his Raiders work. It's my favorite stuff that he's done. I mean, overall, if you had to pick a film series, this is the one. Yes, that's what this is promoting, but it's a Pepsi ad that ties into the movies. It's just really. Oh, so now you're saying the Alicia is wrong. It's Princess Leia that your autocorrect screwed it up. Okay. You know, I don't disagree with that. I don't necessarily agree with it either, though. It's my third favorite out of the films. A lot of people don't like the second one. I do. And I love the third one too, but it has a sense, there's a certain amount of, it doesn't quite have the verve that the first two do. It's a little bit more humorous. The relationship between his dad and him is, kind of softens the edge to the movie a little bit. But I do really like it. I like all three of them. So, I mean, I'm pretty grateful that we actually got three good films before they started ruining them. See, leg kicks like Temple of Doom wasn't great. I like Temple of Doom a lot. And I understand why people don't like it, but it didn't bother me. Yeah, it's Indiana Jones and the Last Pepsi, says Matthew Muma. Okay. Now, this would seem obvious, I guess, to some, but it never dawned on me. I mean, I know it. I've known it for a couple of years, but when it came out, I had no clue. I had no clue that this was Struzan that did the original First Blood poster. But he did. I didn't know that. It just never dawned on me before. And I was going through this going, oh my gosh, yeah, he did do that. Look at the size of that gun. Wow. This is an interesting film. This, like Indiana Jones 2, Temple of Doom, this movie has become better with age. When it first came out, it got panned. Okay. And this was like, I remember a review that gave this movie like 1 star. And now people consider it a classic. So I'm always interested. I haven't watched it in a long time, but I find that very interesting, that how movies like Carpenter's The Thing, right? When it came out, mediocre reviews. Now it's like a 4-star classic. I loved it when it came out. So. Everybody seems to think that the First Blood was a great film. I just considered that now, but it wasn't when it came out, which I think very interesting. And Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom was like, everybody was like, oh, it's, too violent and it's too far-fetched. The guy, pulling the heart out of the guy's chest, and they didn't like this and they didn't like that. And I don't know. It's no Raiders. I mean, Raiders is one of the greatest movies of all time, but Temple of Doom, I still thought was fun and exciting, a little bit over the top in a lot of areas. And the whole kid thing, Spielberg with his got to get the kids in there. But overall, I liked the movie. Art of Roy saying, no, Temple of Doom sucked. And again, I'll say I'm not going to fight with you over it because I see why people think it sucked. But I just kind of, I liked it. Okay, here we go. Are you guys familiar with this? This is a really good movie, and it's a great movie poster. What I happen to own, I'll tell you a story. So I went, Terry Dotson and I, Terry Dotson and I, Shelley and Rachel Dotson went to LA for a weekend for the sole purpose of movie poster hunting. This was in the 90s, right? When there was still movie poster shops all over Hollywood Boulevard, all over and around Hollywood Boulevard. And when I was there, I got this and I got a Young Frankenstein, which I could not at the time. This is prior to internet, right? Or internet in its infancy. I could not find a Young Frankenstein movie poster anywhere. And I finally found one. And so I picked it up and it was torn. I had a tear in it, but I still got it because it was like, I don't see these. And I still got it hanging up on my wall. I see them all the time now. You can get them like there's 50 of them on eBay right now, but back then it was really hard to find. And I picked this one up while I was there too. I wasn't necessarily. I was becoming a Struzan fan at this point. I wasn't, like mindlessly numb in love with his work like I am now, because it was still kind of new to me or newer to me. But I did love this movie, and I thought the poster was great, and so I picked it up. This is Sean Connery plays like a monk version of Sherlock Holmes. So these murders are going on in this monastery. He is sent in by the hierarchy of the Catholic Church during the Inquisition to solve these murders. And it's really an interesting, entertaining film. Now, it's directed by Jean-Jacques Annaud, who also directed Quest for Fire, if you remember that bizarre early man evolution movie where it followed a bunch of cavemen around. There was no dialogue in it, and it was very strange. But it was a movie also that got really good reviews for what it was. And then he goes and follows it up with this, which I thought was fantastic. And I don't remember what he did after this. There you go. Geek Avengers says art critics are parasites. Stanislaw Suskalski. Can't even say that without help. So anyway, check that movie out if you haven't seen it. It's also a great picture. Now here's something else that's really... I remember when this movie came out, and I was a kid, of course, but I never saw it. And this also got bad reviews. But the last remake of Beau Geste. Now, because it has Anne Margaret in it, it's always been on my sort of, I want to watch this movie if I can find it any place now, even though I'm sure it sucks. But this is a Struzan poster. I actually own this poster as well. And he's in his Leindecker phase in this poster. I don't want to say, what was this, 74 maybe? That'd been about right, somewhere in that neighborhood. But I love the Marty Feldman character. And then you got Anne Margaret on there. And of course, now the only thing with these is there's fold lines on these posters. It's almost impossible to find one of these rolled, but that crease line goes right through her blinking eye there, which ticks me off a little bit. But other than that, so this was a comedy, and apparently not a very good one. I don't know who directed this. Oh, it was Marty Feldman directed it. Well, and screenplay by Marty Feldman. So he's got no one to blame but himself. I'm going to have to watch this. But I love this poster. I think it's hilarious. So Wesley Gleason says, good night, all. Bar is calling me. Long day after work. Hail the chat and the Graybeard True. Thank you, Wesley. Appreciate it, man. Have fun tonight, but don't have too much fun. Now, I've shown these before, but I'm going to show them again because I couldn't end this Struzan bit without sharing my two favorite Drew Struzan posters. This one, which of course is used in the thumbnail here for the show. I love this poster, and maybe that's why I love the movie so much, is because I love the poster so much. Big Indiana Jones face. Great expression. There's a real weightiness, three-dimensional quality to it. Kate Capshaw is cute. You got little short wren down there, some elephants, the bad guy. I just love the composition. I love that Indiana Jones head. I just love this poster, and I own it. I don't own the original art. Boy, would I love to own the original art, but no. And then wait a minute here, Luffy. Is this because you want to show us the Jaws poster? I'm not showing the Jaws poster. It's not by Struzan. We already did that artist whose name escapes me at the Roger. Come back to me in a second. We already did him, and I showed the Jaws poster, which is, of course, my all-time favorite movie and arguably my favorite movie poster. But it's not Struzan, so we're not going to show that. And then, of course, this is my favorite Struzan poster of all time, and that is, of course, Big Trouble with Little China. Color on this is great. Kurt Russell, whom I love, in a manly sort of way when I say I love him. This is a great poster. Of course, I own this poster as well. And I know the person, I've said this before, but it's insane to me that I know the person that owns this original. And he bought this original. There was a DREW STRUZAN show in Portland back in the 90s, which I found out about after it had already gone through, so I missed it. But this friend of mine did not miss it. He purchased this original painting for, I think, 20 grand at the time. What do you think it's worth now? 100 grand? 80 grand? I don't know what Struzan stuff is going for, but I would guess it ain't cheap. But he has the original. But I'm not going to tell you who it is because I don't want you to run over there and break into his house and steal it. Whoa. Big Trouble in Little China is a movie you've got to see it. It's a little bit like Napoleon Dynamite in that you'll watch it the first time and go, I'm not sure I really understand what I just saw. But then the more you watch it, the funnier it gets. And then you get to a point where you just love it. And that, I guess, is the definition of a cult movie, right? Is one that just didn't do well when it came out, but some people liked, and they just keep watching it over and over again. It keeps getting better and better. And then they start recommending it to people who start doing the same thing. And suddenly you have this, classic example of a cult film. James Hong still shows up dressed as Lopan. Does he really? At like shows and stuff, I assume. Good old Dave Lopan. Let's see, what do we got here? This is an interesting. What does that mean? Pablo Romero says you should show Enzo. Is that Schiatti movie posters? All right, let me write that down. Oops. I will take a look at his stuff. I'm sure I know the posters because a lot of times we know posters or even styles we're unaware of who's doing them. Sounds like an Italian, so he's probably does all the Italian zombie monster movies, right? All right, guys. So there you go. That's my sort of second look, according to Creative Faye, my second look at DREW STRUZAN. But come on. You can never look at Struzan stuff too much, right? So, especially if you're a movie fan, which I am. All righty. Kind of makes you aspire to greatness, doesn't it? All right, what am I going to do next? I think I'll do this. I do videos called Talking Comics and Art with Aaron Lopresti. They're not live streams. They're videos, edited videos. And they're generally me opening something that I got. Generally a comic book, but occasionally a poster, some other things I've done, like Marvel Blacklight movie posters, Marvel Blacklight posters from the ones that they released in the 60s. They did a re-release set of them. And, I did that. And like I picked up a Wrightson poster one time and we did that. And, when I got the original artwork from Bisley for Blood Hunters, we opened that. But most of the time it's old comics. Well, I got this comic, but I was right in the middle of finalizing Kit Carter for the printer and getting all the files done. And I just did not have time to shoot a video, edit it, and put it out. So we're going to do it right here. So you can see recently what I picked out and paid money for and got shipped to my house. Now, I'm not going to open it because I already opened it. So it's not really an opening video. But we had a... did I drop it? Oh, here it is. You may remember this segment from like bygone days, but I used to do this on this show. And we're going to do it again now. So we could do that, but that would also fit into this category. Yeah, that's right. So it's, what did I buy now? And also now it's in my collection. All right. Let me switch cameras here because I have the technology to do that. All right. So I saw this and it was a deal. Let me just put it this way. It was a deal that was just too darn good to pass up. So I didn't pass it up. Are you ready? Yeah, how about that? 9-2. Are you kidding me? This is the classic This Man, This Monster, Fantastic Four number 51 from 1966, a 9.2. Now, I know you guys are like, you can't read it because it's slabbed. Well, you know, there's this thing called Marvel reprints. Yeah, and I have a collection of the Fantastic Four, so I can read this anytime I want in black and white in the Marvel Essentials. So don't give me too much grief. So anyway, a 9.2. How about that? Now, what I found out about this book was there's only like 39 copies of this book graded at a 9.2. That's not very many. So I was really surprised to see it. And then I won't tell you how much I paid for it in case Shelly's watching, but I got this for $300 under what its current market value is. So how could I walk away from this? It has been on my hit list. I'm not an FF collector, but there are certain issues and covers that I want to get. And this was one of them. And it just happened to come up and I was just like, wow, a 9.2. And then the price was really right. So, and look, Jerry West. It shows you how old this book is. Another 2-pointer for Jerry West. Another great moment in sports. Hobby kit by Aurora. Let's see. You can get so these are like model kits from Aurora. You can get Jimmy Brown rips off his 10,000th yard. Babe Ruth wallops his 60th homer. Jack Dempsey KOs Furpo in the second. Come on. Jack Dempsey fought better people than Furpo. And then, of course, Johnny United passes for an AFL record. Wow. So that's what you could have got in 1966 for model kits if you were a sports fan. So anyway, yeah, this is white pages too. That doesn't happen very often. So you got a 9.2 with white pages from 1966. First appearance of the Negative Zone. Second appearance of Wyatt Wingfoot. But really, the draw of this is a classic cover with a classic story. Now, you know the splash page. You've all seen it, I'm sure, with a big splash page with a thing standing in the rain. This Man, This Monster. And this is only 2 issues after the, let's see, 48 and 49 were the first appearance of Galactus and the Silver Surfer. And 50 actually wrapped that story up. So this is like the first issue right after that 3-issue extravaganza where we meet Galactus and the Silver Surfer for the very first time. So this is, I don't get excited too often because it's really hard to get really good deals on big books like this. But I did get a really good deal on this, which makes it like super exciting. Because the market sucks right now because of Joe Biden's economy and Kamala Harris's economy, which, not to get political, but nothing cracked me up more than seeing her up at the DNC saying how she's going to lower prices and stuff when she gets elected. And you're like, well, you're elected right now. Why don't you do it now? But anyway, enough about that. That's about as political as I get on my show anyway. But anyway, the economy sucks. So you see prices dropping on big books. So you've always got to be careful. It's like, do I want to spend that much money on a book that could still be dropping? But if you get it off like $300 less than what its current value would be, you're kind of like, I'll roll the dice on that. And I did. So thank you, Frankie. Now, see, he's like, that's a great story. That's the draw for me, the story. Well, it always is. As a reader, that's always, I mean, as an artist, I go both ways in the sense that, not that way, but I go both ways in the sense that the story is important, but the art is also important. And I will buy a book that maybe isn't that great of a story because I love the artist. And then what I do is I go through the book and look at the artwork. You read it and go, okay, that wasn't great, but oh, look at the artwork. It's beautiful. It's kind of like going to see Jurassic Park 2, 3, and 4. You're not going there because you think it's a great movie. You're going because you want to see the dinosaurs. At least that's why I go. Geek Avenger says, nope. Oh, I'm sorry. That's Art of Roy. Luxury items are the first to sell out cheaper. Of course it is. And you see people that needing cash, and so they'll dump their books at a cheaper price than maybe they wouldn't normally. So there's deals to be had, but it is risky because you don't know how far that floor is going to drop on these before they start going back up again. Collectibles they're a fun market, but they're also a challenging market because you just never know. Invest a bunch of money. All these people that spent a ton of money on books during COVID, they're losing their shirts if they bought them for investment purposes. They're losing their shirts because that stuff, and I knew it was artificially high and inflated and it was going to crash down, even though I talked to many dealers. Oh no, this is going to keep going. It's not being driven by the extra money that people have because they can't go anyplace. I'm like, yeah, it is. And that's exactly what's happened. So I have to be careful, especially on big books. It's one thing if you spend $150 on a book and it, goes from 150, drops to 100. You're like, okay, I lost $50, but it'll come back up eventually. But if you go and spend $2,000 on a book and then it suddenly is only worth $1,000, that hurts. So I'm very, very careful about, big expenditures like that. Art of Roy says, Aaron, who does your logo designs? Mostly me. Kit Carter, I hired someone to do Kit Carter. Even though I knew what I wanted, I just kind of told her, she used to do logos and stuff for Marvel. Friend of a friend hooked me up. And I had her do the Kit Carter one, but I knew what I wanted. I kind of gave her a draw of what I wanted. WRAITH of God, I've had people love the WRAITH of God logo and people criticize it. And because of its simplicity. But that's what I was going for. I was going for like an old school Marvel, Ghost Rider, whatever, those type of logos. And I'm also I'm not a big fan of complicated logos, no matter how clever they are, because I think the more complicated they get, the harder they are to read. And you want something simple. Like my Empire Comics logo is very simple, but it's simple for a purpose. I'm not trying to win points for being cool. I'm trying to win points for being easy to remember. And that's kind of the approach I've taken. But there you go. Okay. Let's see here. I think I do here. It's 5 o'clock. Carry the. Okay. We're right on schedule. It's time for Aaron's top 5. This is ridiculous to even try and pick, because the Bowen busts, I'm a big fan of the Randy Bowen's really good. His busts, his line of busts, when they were coming out, there was the first wave, and then they got really popular. If you remember, the first wave of busts basically had no arms. They were literally busts. And then it sort of graduated to waist up busts. And they became cooler and cooler and cooler. And everyone that came out, it didn't even matter what the character was. You're like, I want to get that. My son was collecting those and had a ton of them. He sold a lot of them and kept a few. But I never bought any because it was too, comics are an expensive hobby. I get it. But I was like, statues and busts were like, as many as they were cranking out, I was like, this is too expensive of a hobby to get hooked on. So I'd always look from afar and go, oh, I really want that. But I would talk myself out of buying it. So my point is, there's a ton of great busts out there. So just to pick 5, but these are these are my 5 favorite. Maybe. I fluctuate. But before we do that, have you guys seen this? When I was researching these busts, to make sure I didn't forget one, I came across this, and I had never seen this before. This is from Sideshow from a couple years ago. Excuse me, I had a hiccup there. Look at this. This is awesome. Now, apparently the eyes light up on this. Now, this is a statue from Sideshow. It was called, was it Man Thing Comiquette, I believe? That's what it was called. And it's no longer on their site, so they don't have any laying around, at least that I could find, for sale on their site. And I haven't seen any of these up for sale. I just stumbled on this by accident. And I was like, I want this so badly. I do have the Man Thing Bowen bust or statue. But this is just so cool. And apparently it retailed for $500. I have no idea what the price is on this in the secondary market. $500 is like more than I want to spend on a statue. But if I could find one, maybe I would convince Shelly to get it for me for Christmas. I don't know. Wah, wah, wah. I do get that joke, by the way, Marcus. Is it giant sized? It's a statue. So I assume it's, I didn't really look at the measurements on it. I just looked at it and went, he's so big and thick and lumpy looking. It's just really cool. Don't clip that, by the way, and misuse it. So I don't know. I'm gonna keep my eyes open for it, but $500. I do really want it though. So maybe I can figure out some way to finagle it from someone that has one that says, you know what, Aaron, if you do me a $500 commission, I'll give you this Man Thing statue. Then, now we're talking. Now we're in business. So anyway, I just want to throw that out there. Okay. So top 5 Bowen busts. Number 5. Sometimes you do something and it just really looks good. And I think that's the case with this. I like the pose. I like the tilt of the head. I like the face. I just think that the figure itself is really, it really flows. It's really, really nice. This isn't the best angle. If you turn this like to the side a little bit, you can really get a feel for the flow of the figure work here. This, of course, is the green chick from X-Men. What's her name? Yeah, you guys know who it is. She was on that. What was it? First appeared in. I can tell you where her first appearance is, but I can't think of her name. X-Men 49, wasn't it? Polaris. Thank you very much. I just think, the pose, I don't know. It just really works for me. So, yes, Polaris. Thank you, everybody. So that's my number 5. The Ms. Marvel one's pretty good too, but I thought that was better. I just thought the pose was better. All right, number 4. This arguably could be the coolest bust he ever did. However, the character is second rate, but this is a really cool bust. This Nova. I don't even know what version this is. I mean, it's not the classic version, obviously. But again, the pose, the tilt of the head, the whole thing. If you shoot this from a low angle, it looks really cool. So that I'm being honest here because I'm not a big Polaris fan. Obviously, I couldn't even remember her name. Nova I like, but I don't love Nova, but I read him when I was a kid. Nova Prime, J Dread says. Yeah. Well, the only difference between me and Joe is that I actually didn't do it on the Constitution of the United States. I did it on a obscure bust, so superhero bust. So I'm not full Joe Biden yet. There you go. Nova's well, and indeed that's why I have him one spot ahead of her. So you agree with me? Spaceman says second-rate character with one of the best costumes. I'd hate to draw this because every time he lifts his head above his arms, pardon me, lifts his head above, lifts his shoulders above his head, his arms above his head, this thing is going to impale him right in the neck. So I don't know how this works, but it does look cool. Okay, now we're getting into, these are more my eccentricities. Is that how you pronounce that? But I still think they're cool despite my, you know. Three, despite my dispositions, I guess is the word I was looking for there. I don't even know if you can call this a bust because you're getting all of MODOK here, but since he is just a giant head, I guess you should get the rest of his body in a bust, right? So, because this is technically a statue, isn't it? Did I just cheat and put a statue in here that has a bust? Well, it's MODOK, so whatever. If I cheated, I don't care. I'm still leaving him there at my number 3 spot. Nova had a great helmet. That is true. He did. The problem with Nova was when he came out in the 70s, he was, what was his alter ego's name was Richard Rider, not to be confused with Peter Parker. And he was a high school student and he got powers when he was in high school. What other characters like that? I can't remember. It was too derivative of Spider-Man, even though he had different powers than Spidey did, but his personal story was almost identical. So, but I still liked him. I read the book. I think John Buscema drew a couple of the early issues. I have to go back and check. Was it Ron Wilson? Who drew those? They were pretty well drawn, though. And then Carmen Infantino took over with Tom Palmer inks, and I wasn't as big a fan of that as I was of the earlier stuff. This is a often used explanation for MODOK's bad disposition. Warren Wolfman crossed Spider-Man with green light. Yeah, I guess that you could. Yeah, I think you're right. Bassmaster says, no, it's not Richard Rider, it's Dick Rider. That's pretty good. Is Zemnu bust number 1? Keep guessing, Daniel. Keep guessing. I didn't find the Zemnu bust. Did they do a Zemnu bust? I have to go back and look at that. It might change my list. Let's look at number 2. Now this I didn't pick this just because I'm friends with the guy who designed it. But come on. Thor Frog, are you kidding me? This is great. This is absolute great. I might have swung this arm out a bit more, but you know, who am I to criticize? This, I love this bust. In fact, my son has this bust and hung on to it. When he got rid of all of his busts, he kept a couple, and this was one of them. And you should keep this. This is like Groku before there was Groku, you know? Isn't it amazing? I don't know what Walter's expectations were for when he did that Thor Frog story, but it's like Beta Ray Bill. They've become like these sort of iconic Thorverse characters that might have been just, I'm sure more thought went into Beta Ray Bill, but the Thor Frog story had to have been just kind of a funny little sidebar kind of thing to do. And then it's just really, over the years, has just become like iconic. Well, Squeaky says I like that better than MODOK. So at least she's on board with me here for this pick. And this is a great story too. I loved, I've said this before, but I was went to a con probably in New York, and I picked up the Thor Frog story and I actually read it on an airplane without being worried about being embarrassed that I was reading a comic book on an airplane. It was the first story I ever, openly showed my my comic love for comics. Was reading this story because I thought this is too entertaining. I don't care what people think. I'm going to read it in public. And I did. Okay. Let me get this queued up. All right, here is my number one choice for Randy Bowen busts. Probably wouldn't be too hard to guess this if you thought about it. But yeah, there it is. The Man-Thing. And this is from the original bust series that he did. As you can see, no arms. I still don't own this. And I'm really kind of ticked at myself for not owning it because I've had opportunities to buy it and I just haven't. Because when I'm at a show or something, I'm always like, do I want to spend $100 on this bust, which is basically $100 to $125 bust? Or do I want to spend that money on an old comic? And the old comic always wins. But I should get this. And I will get this. It's just a matter of when. But I remember when these first came out, these were the coolest things ever. And they were limited print runs. I think the Man-Thing had I think he was out of that first wave of these armless busts that Bowen did. I think this one probably had the lowest print run. I think it was 1,000 or 750 or something. Where most of them were in the 2,000 range. Then, of course, when they got really, really hot, they were up in that 5,000 range. But this is a low print run in relation to the others, and so that's why it's worth a little bit more money. There it is. Yep. Yeah, Art of Roy's correct. They were brand new. They were $30, $35. Then they went up to 40, and then they were $45, $50, $60, somewhere in that range, depending on how elaborate they were. But yeah, they were very affordable. These are much smaller though. The original wave of Bowen busts were much smaller than those bigger ones that had arms and things like that. So I don't need much shelf space to put this. So it's definitely something I should get. I don't know. It says his was like 12 of 1,000. It was very crisp. Oh, you got it early, man. Number 12 out of 1,000. Yeah. I have seen that. That's actually, that was a Diamond Select, wasn't it? When he's ripping the gator's thing, the mouth open. Yeah, I've kind of looked at that a little bit too. James says first Bowen bust he got was Iron Fist. I love Iron Fist. Aaron, did you ever see the Struzan print he did for Mondo of Dr. Frankenstein? Yes, I did. Unfortunately, I found out about that poster after the fact, and so I couldn't get it because it was so freaking expensive. It was like $300 or $400, and I didn't. If I had been able to get it when it came out, but I didn't even know about it. It just kind of came and went, and then someone was talking about it. I'm like, what? Struzan did a Mondo poster, and then it's like, oh, so yeah. So I still don't have it. Anyway, there you go. So that maybe that'll be see, that's affordable. I can put that on my Christmas list. I could actually get that. I'm going to do that. That's what I'm going to do. Oh, James said he was actually lucky to get one of those Struzan Frankenstein posters. Nice. All right. I used to buy garage kits. I don't have them anymore. I sold them because my daughter, I used to have a bunch of Universal Monster toys and and things, and Nosferatu, from Sideshow, all those great figures they did. And my daughter would come in the studio and she was just freaked out, scared her to death. So I sold all of them, got rid of them. And a couple of things I got rid of were, I bought this, it was a garage kit at San Diego. And those are like the best models, right? Because they're usually really well sculpted, and they're, people do them in their garage, right? And they come up with these, they get these boxes and they get a sticker printed up and they put the sticker on the box and they sell it for like $100, whatever. And so it was this resin statue of Lon Chaney from London After Midnight, the silent vampire film that, of course, was lost because it was on, it was silver nitrate, and it just, deteriorated and disintegrated. And so there's no copies left known. There's a few stills, of course, and we're all familiar with the imagery of it, but it was him holding a lantern. It was like a big head, like a bobblehead kind of thing, except it wasn't a bobblehead. It was a statue, but he had a big head. And I had that, and it was resin. And I had another one. I can't remember what it was. And I never even got around to putting it together, but I would just have the box on display. And then I got rid of that because, like I said, it freaked my daughter out. But I do have a mummy and a creature from the Black Lagoon. These are vinyl kits, though, garage kits that I picked up at San Diego years ago. And I still have those. And I keep thinking I'm going to paint them, but I've yet to do it. I have an airbrush and everything, so I could do it. I just haven't done it. I see myself as an old guy retired, like painting models or something. That might end up being what I end up doing. Yeah, there you go. They cease to be collectible when you're getting these, 2,000, 12,000. Wow. Wow. That's incredible. I didn't know they went that high. Wow. Sounds like Aaron, not a bobblehead, but has a big head. Daniel, I've already blown you up once. I don't want to do it again. Is Angela Curry? There's she. Look, there's Angela. We like to call her Angela Chocolate Curry. Do you put curry in chocolate? Could you do that? It'd be spicy chocolate, but Calories. Wait a minute. There it is. Let me try that again. Calories says there is a London After Midnight NECA figure out now. Is there? All right, I'm going to check that out. London After Midnight NECA figure. All right, I'll check that out. Because my daughter's an adult now, so I can get monster toys if I want. Okay. All right, let me take a look at my, anyway, that's my top 5. Okay, let's see what we got. Shelly knows, but Shelly's not here, so we're not going to do that. So that's pretty much, I guess that leaves us with just one thing left to do, and it's the thing we all wait for. Our favorite segment of this wonderful Sunday show. A little drink of water there. The throat's getting a little parched. All right, I've got a collection of videos here. I'm not promising that they're any good at all because they usually aren't, but at least they're something. Someone is claiming this is a werewolf, despite the fact it's being filmed in the middle of the day. I'm like, don't you understand the legend of the werewolf? But apparently they don't. But maybe, I guess, if there was really werewolves, or like the Dog Man, the Wisconsin Dog Man, or the Michigan Dog Man, or wherever he's from, then maybe they would come out during the day. Let's take a look at this and see. I don't even remember what's on this. Whenever I see these, I'll download them and save them for later, and then I can't even remember. So here we go. Okay. That's okay. Here we go. Yeah. So he's up here. Oh. Okay. So this thing is coming at you like that and you're just standing there filming it, I don't think you are. I think what you're doing is, I think you're telling your friend up there in a ghillie suit, okay, now hop down the mountain and I'll film you, and then we'll blur it later so we can't really see what it is. That's what I'm thinking. But that's just me, cynical Aaron. Because I think if this thing was coming down at you, first of all, my first reaction would be, okay, that's a bear and I'm going to get eaten. So I would run. I would worry about filming later. So I'm not buying this at all. And look at his tent. Even if he got in his tent, he's getting destroyed. So I'm running to my truck or my car or whatever if I'm seeing this thing coming at me. But it's nice and blurry and shaky, which we expect. This, what would have sold this video is when he's jumping up and down right here. Here he comes, right? Here comes your dog man or werewolf or whatever. If this guy, if he kept coming, right? And then about right here, the guy with the camera starts to turn and run and try to film as he's running away. Then maybe I might say, I still wouldn't believe it, but at least I'd give it a better grade. I can't really even grade. This is incomplete. You turn this into my Bigfoot class and I'm sending, I go, you need to do more work on this. Duck Bacon says, well, I mean, he would know. It's not credible without the blur. Of course it isn't. There you go. That's what I'm saying. It's bad when the fakers aren't even trying, like this shows. I agree. It's like, if you're not even going to try, then why should I believe it? But anyway. Okay. Santiago Pelagros says, Aaron, do you know at last Graybeard you draw without a German comic character of the 80s called Manos? I need a translator for that, Santiago. I don't even know what you just wrote. Aaron, do you know at last Graybeard, so I was saying the last Graybeard show, you drew without knowing a German comic character of the 80s called, I drew him without knowing it? Are you saying the Stranko thing that I drew? Are you saying that this right here, this drawing of Talon, is actually a German comic character called Manos, and you're suggesting that the great Jim Stranko ripped this off and made it his own? Is that what you're suggesting? Now, see, I drew it on the back here, and I kind of like this a little bit better, but I got a little Conan type face there. I don't even know. I think that's what he's saying. I think you're accusing Jim Stranko of plagiarism. I'm wondering. Okay, well, if the werewolf dogman didn't do it for you, maybe the Florida, what is this? The Florida Bigfoot. And I have trouble with the whole Bigfoot thing in Florida. It's too hot. Why would a Bigfoot with all that fur live in Florida? That's the whole thing with a skunk ape, too. It's kind of like, seriously? I just don't think they would. But maybe I'm wrong. What do I know? I'm just a skeptic. There, here we go. This is the Florida Bigfoot. I'm guessing that's him right there. Again, nice and blurry. Look at him shake that tree, baby. Now, what they say is a man in a suit couldn't take that tree and shake it like that. And I'm saying, well, it depends on what type of tree it is. I mean, it looks like it's a pretty thin tree, doesn't it? Maybe it isn't. Oh, let's zoom in so it's even blurrier and more jumpy. That'll help. So here's the tree. I guess I don't know. I mean, that is one argument you could make, that you couldn't go up to a tree like that and shake it. like a normal guy couldn't. But again, I'm looking, why did he shake the tree? This clearly looks like, plays like performance art, right? So is the tree digital? Is the whole guy digital? Is he even there? It's blurry, of course, so we can't really see much. He's strolling along like he's headed to Walmart, which always makes me think I'm not getting a good performance from my guy in the suit here. Bigfoot to me would seem less human and more monkey-ish or creature-ish or something that wouldn't. This just looks like a guy strolling along and he grabs a tree and shakes it for the camera, basically. It doesn't seem to be any practical reason why Bigfoot would walk up to this tree and assault it like this. Is he mad at the tree? What's he going for? Is he trying? There's no fruit in those trees, whatever it is. It just appears staged to me. I don't know. What do you guys think? Yeah, Eric Boyd's got it. I really love your peaches. Want to shake your tree. Of course, is a Steve Miller song. Now Pastmaster Dan is on to something here. Funny thing is, Bigfoot is allergic to pine. That's why he is angry all the time because of sinus headache. I think you may be on to something here. Yeah, the shaky camera is... would it kill these guys, just one person, to do a clear video? I mean, they'd have to have a better suit. They'd have a better acting job. So I guess that's why they don't. But Duck Bacon says that's actually his uncle. He gets like that when he's been drinking. Yeah, there we go. Pastmaster Dan's, it's science, and you got to trust science. Okay. Now this one I've titled 20-year-old blurry Bigfoot movie. That doesn't sound very promising, does it? Well, I'm gonna let you guys see it anyway. I took the time to clip it, so I'm gonna make you guys suffer through it. Again, pretty blurry action here. Let's see what we got. Here he is here, right there. The problem with this video is it's a longer video leading up to this clip, and all the video up to this clip is really sharp and clear, and then you get to the Bigfoot and it's all shaky and blurry. Funny how that works. But let's see here. What was Bigfoot doing? He's walking around the bush, looking for some grubs or something, maybe. I like this part, how he kind of circles around and comes back here. So we're getting a longer clip than you normally get. So that's good. He's digging in the brush here for something. And maybe toilet paper. I don't know. But I will give them credit for at least making this a longer video, even though it's still blurry, really blurry. Kind of shaky. It's not bad, in terms of the shakiness, but the blurriness is like next level on this one. Is he picking up a little Bigfoot kid? Is this kind of like Planet of the Apes where Zira had the little baby monkey? I don't know. What's he picking up? Not really compelling, is it? But maybe the slow Bigfoot, maybe this will intrigue you. This is what we call the slow, methodical Bigfoot. But the question is, even though he's slow, will the camera be any clearer? I think he's right. No, where is he? He's somewhere behind those trees. There he is. There he is, right there. There he is. Oh, it comes out the other side, strolling along, and then we fade to black. I don't know. I want to believe, but come on, people. What is this? Everybody so far of the videos I've shown today, they're all failing my class. These are all Fs. Did you notice that before he zoomed in, it was blurry, and it didn't get blurrier when he zoomed in. You know, I just really, really disappointed in these people's effort this week. It's bringing me down, man. I need something uplifting. I need something that can make me say, hey, that could be real. Let's take a look at this. Maybe this will cheer me up. This is the Kentucky Bigfoot, because as we know, Bigfoot is everywhere that people have shaky cameras. You'll find a Bigfoot. All right, so let's see. There's a little snow there. Guys are shooting. Look right up in here. There's the finger point. Can't miss it. There's the finger. Look at that guy. Now, why would we assume that's a Bigfoot? Why isn't that just some dude that's up there and they're shooting their gun and is like, whoa, I'm getting the heck out of here? I mean, why are we assuming this is a Bigfoot? There's nothing in this video that would make me think that that's some sort of strange ape-like creature. Let's watch again. Maybe I'm missing something here in the translation. I don't know. That's a guy running, isn't it? I mean, just because it's blurry, that makes it a Bigfoot sighting, I guess. Captain Bipto, excellent point. He says, no, the first question is, why are they filming in that direction? Exactly. Why wouldn't you be filming from behind the kid's shoulder when what he's shooting at to see if he hit it, right? Mm-hmm. Kid shoots his first shot, maybe shooting at a can. Don't we want to see if he hit the can? No, we want to see Bigfoot come out from the snow and run around. I don't even think these people need to invest money in a costume. When your video is that blurry, you could basically be running around naked and you'd look like Bigfoot. I'd be cold though to be running around naked, but you get my point. It looks like a guy who could be in a coat and pants running around. It's not even, look, you can't tell anything. These Bigfoot societies, they need to do better. They just need to do better. Angry Gamers, it's just a drunk redneck. He's out there, he doesn't want to get shot. I think so. He runs like a person. So you're taking personhood away from Bigfoot? Wow. It's not very nice. Let's take a look at this giant gator again, because every time I see this, it scares the crap out of me. This is what real stuff looks like right here. This is like death smiling at you about 10 feet away. I'd love to know how big that alligator is, because he looks massive. Wow. Horrifying, people. Horrifying. What do you think about this? I showed this last week. I should show this every week, because this is A for effort, because you got a Yeti ripping apart a hunter and then falling down. I mean, this is action packed. You've got blood, and this is an art. Look, he just ripped the guy's head off. He just literally ripped his head off. Look at this. Right here. He's ripping his head off. Tell me I'm wrong. Boom, right there. That's just disgusting. The shagginess, I mean, it's his falling. This is where this video falls apart, is his falling down the hill does not look right there. That does not look real. That looks boing. Nobody falls like that. But boy, I like the fur. Look at the fur. It makes you think, was this a dude in a costume? But it can't be. It's got to be CGI. And yet, and right there, he blows it. Right there, he blows it. Right there. No movement in the legs. They're just, it's like an action figure tumbling down a hill. Boom, boom, boom. And of course, we talked about this last week. If you're sitting there filming your buddy getting his head ripped off, you've got issues. But I do like this. This is kind of fun. I'm giving this guy an A on this video. Well, oh no, an A minus. If he had fixed this fall right here, I'd give him an A. But an A minus because you go through all this. Look at this. He goes through this entire effort of tearing apart a hunter. That's good. That's a nice touch. It's gross. Oh, it's terrible. He's got his entrails hanging out, skipping along like a good old Bigfoot. And then boom, right there, loses it. So far, so good. And blew it right there. So A minus, B plus, A minus. Certainly one of the better videos we've seen. Captain Bitbo says, remember, if you fall, just go limp. That's right. That's what Captain America used to always say. He stole the Yeti's beef jerky, and I think you might be onto something there, Marcus. Well, Anti-Entity says Bumbles bounce. Maybe. Now, okay. Maybe you're onto something there. I should reconsider my stance on that. Bumbles do bounce. Yeah, let's see. They're spring-loaded. Again, Bumbles do bounce. So they swapped out a Teddy doll for that. Yeah. It's the Bumble. Everybody thinks it's the Bumble, and they're saying that Bumbles bounce, so therefore that fall is very believable. Yeah, I said that, Marcus. I said I showed this last week, but we're going to take a look at it again, just because the videos I had today were so bad that I felt like I needed to show you something that was relatively in focus and had some entertainment value to it. Anyway, Heat Miser says he thinks they tased him as he was running towards the camera. Do you think a taser would work on something that big? I don't think so. I think it's. There's a couple of things. You're not going to film your buddy getting his head ripped off, and the fall. The fall was fake. So, but a little bit more logic, a little bit more effort, and you might have had something there. Of course, where's the missing persons report on the hunter who got his head ripped off? Those are little details you might want to clean up as well. Yeti Rage ain't nothing to mess with, says Sequential Treasures, and he's very true. It's very, very true. All right, guys, there you go. We've managed to do this for 2 hours, which is remarkable every time we get through it. I would please ask all of you to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already to this channel, so it can help me grow the channel, which will incentivize me to give you better entertainment than I'm providing right now. And also, if you haven't did the early sign up yet for Wraith of God 3, please venture on over there. You'll find the link in the description of the video. It'll take you right to the little sign up page where you just enter in your email address, and that makes you automatically qualify for the limited edition trading card that'll be coming with this book. And so it doesn't cost you anything, but it gives me an idea of who's interested in the book, and put you on the mailing list so you get all the updates and everything when I'm getting ready to launch. So Thank you guys all for joining me. Please enjoy the rest of your week safely. Have a good time, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. And I want to thank you all for joining me and for the super chats I got. And that's about it. So I'll try to work on not saying quite as much next time. Thank you all. See you soon. Bye-bye.